The announcement of Ireland's team to face England in their crucial Six Nations showdown has sparked fierce debate, and for good reason. Head coach Andy Farrell has made several significant calls, some long overdue, others surprising, as Ireland attempt to steady the ship after an inconsistent start to the championship. Here are 5 detailed takeaways from Farrell's latest selection, each revealing something deeper about Ireland's current trajectory and the head coach's mindset heading into one of the biggest fixtures of the campaign. One Sam Prendergast discarded. A necessary reset. It was a decision that felt inevitable. Sam Prendergast's omission from the match day 23 represents one of the most high-profile calls of Farrell's tenure. The young Leinster fly half is unquestionably talented, but Test rugby has exposed areas of his game that simply are not yet ready for the highest level. Defensively, Prendergast has struggled. At international level, teams relentlessly target weaknesses, and his channel has been identified as one to attack. Against both France and Italy, Ireland were forced to compensate structurally for his shortcomings, and that inevitably disrupts the defensive cohesion Farrell prizes. The frustration, however, is not solely directed at the player. Farrell's handling of the fly-half situation has raised eyebrows. By persisting with Prendergast despite clear struggles, the head coach risked undermining both the youngster's confidence and the trust of the squad. There has long been talk of a Leinster bias in Ireland's selection, a perception that players from the Dublin province are given extended leeway. Whether fair or not, that narrative gained traction as Prendergast was retained while Jack Crowley watched from the sidelines. Now, after 2 underwhelming Six Nations performances, Prendergast has been removed entirely from the 23. It's a brutal but perhaps necessary reset. For Prendergast, this could prove beneficial. He remains only 23. If he returns to Leinster and truly dominates, controlling games, improving his defensive positioning, and asserting authority, a recall will follow. But he must earn it. For Ireland, the bigger issue is stability. Farrell must now back Crowley consistently. If the head coach wavers again in a fortnight's time, Ireland risk returning to square one in a pivotal position. To the bench split. Back to familiar territory, Ireland's bench configuration has also shifted. Earlier in the championship, Farrell experimented with a 6-half split, 6 forwards and 2 backs, mirroring the now famous bomb squad concept. The move suggested Ireland were preparing for attritional, power-based battles. However, for this England clash, Farrell has reverted to the more traditional 5-3 split. Ireland historically prefer balance over brute force. The squad profile, technical, skill-heavy forwards and versatile backs, often lends itself to flexibility rather than sheer physical replacement impact. Still, the decision raises questions that in both opening matches, the 6-half split was not an outright failure. Against France, the game was effectively gone by the time replacements entered, but the bench prevented a total collapse. Against Italy, it was the injected forward intensity that swung momentum Ireland's way. England, meanwhile, have leaned into forward depth, their so-called palm squad approach reflecting a desire to dominate collisions and set-piece exchanges. Despite injuries limiting some of their front-row impact options, the likes of Jamie George, Alex Coles, Guy Pepper, and Sam Underhill remain capable of altering the tone of a match late on point. One might have expected Ireland to respond in kind. Instead, Farrell has opted for familiarity. The 5-3 split provides backline security, crucial if injuries strike, but it also suggests confidence that Ireland can control the tempo without overloading the forward bench. It is a calculated gamble. 3 Faith in James Lowe. Experience over form. James Lowe remains one of the more divisive figures in Irish rugby at present. The 33-year-old winger has faced mounting criticism this season. Since the British and Irish Lions series, his influence has waned. Defensive positioning has occasionally been questioned, and his once electric attacking returns have felt more sporadic. Yet Farrell continues to show faith that Lowe's performance in the narrow 20-13 victory over Italy went some way towards silencing critics. He looked sharper, more assertive in contact, and more decisive in his finishing. That display has earned him another start. There's logic here. Farrell values trust, experience, and established combinations. Lowe's understanding with his inside center and fullback remains strong, and his kicking game provides tactical versatility. Alongside him is Robert Balukoun, who has been rewarded for consistent excellence with Ulster. Balukoun's pace and defensive instincts offer a contrasting skill set, perhaps a subtle balancing of youth and experience on the flanks. Still, the broader question lingers. Are Ireland leaning too heavily on players whose peak may be behind them? Lowe's selection signals that Farrell believes experience can still outweigh potential decline, at least in the short term, for experience reasserted. Farrell's conservative core last weekend selection caused genuine surprise. Tadhg and Jamison Gibson-Park were benched. Josh van der Flier was not even included in the 23. For a coach known for loyalty, those omissions felt radical that it now appears they were temporary. All three returned to the starting lineup against England. Van der Flier, who endured criticism following Ireland's defeat in Paris, regains the open side berth. Beirne resumes his influential role in the engine room. Gibson-Park's tempo control returns at scrum half. This reversion suggests Farrell's brief deviation was situational rather than philosophical. Yet the underlying theme remains clear. Experience is king. 9 of the starting 15 are over 30. There is no player in the squad under 24. With the next Rugby World Cup looming next year, the reliance on seasoned veterans is both understandable and potentially risky. That Ireland's post-2023 decline has been subtle but noticeable. Physical dominance has dipped slightly. Margins have narrowed. Opposition analysis has deepened. Farrell's instinct is to trust those who have delivered before, but time waits for no squad. Balancing regeneration with competitiveness is one of the most delicate tasks in international rugby. For now, Farrell has opted for continuity over transition. The 5 harsh on Munster's emerging talent. Perhaps the most contentious omissions involve Munster's rising stars. Edwin Edogbo's limited involvement has puzzled many observers. The 23-year-old lock brings precisely what Ireland have lacked at times: raw physicality, athleticism, and youthful hunger. Despite Ireland's struggles in the collision against France, Edogbo has seen just 11 minutes of action in this championship. Now, he finds himself out of the squad altogether. It leaves Ireland without dedicated lock cover on the bench. A bold structural choice. Given the team's physical regression in certain contests, Edogbo seemed an obvious injection of energy. Instead, Farrell has again leaned on established names. Michael Milne can also feel aggrieved. The Munster prop impressed off the bench in Paris, demonstrating scrummaging solidity and work rate. Yet he has not been recalled. Instead, Farrell selects Tom O'Toole, a tight head by trade who rarely features at loose head for Ulster. It's a decision that prioritizes familiarity and trust over recent form. For Munster supporters, the message may feel clear. Provincial excellence does not automatically translate into national opportunity. For Farrell, the calculus appears different. Cohesion, predictability, and established combinations outweigh the unknown. That the bigger picture this selection tells us as much about Andy Farrell's philosophy as it does about Ireland's immediate plans. That he values loyalty. He leans toward experience. He prefers structure over experimentation. When pressure mounts, he defaults to trust. Dropping Prendergast was necessary, but it also underscores the risks of delayed decision-making. Restoring veterans reflects belief in proven quality, but it also postpones generational transition. Against England, Ireland require composure, physical resilience, and tactical clarity. Farrell clearly believes this blend of players provides that. Whether it is enough to arrest the subtle slide since the 2023 World Cup remains to be seen. The coming clash will not merely determine Six Nations momentum. It may also shape the narrative around Ireland's evolution heading toward the next global tournament. Are they clinging to the past or carefully managing change? For now, Farrell has chosen experience, familiarity, and control. Saturday will reveal whether that conservatism is wisdom or hesitation.